Hi all, welcome back to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new, I'm an Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness and sharing my life stories with autism and mental health, along with tips and advice along the way. And inside this also, with the tips and advice along the way, will be basically some fun and games and some other variety of things to take you all on a journey what life is like with me as an autistic. So if any of this tickles your fancy and want to join me on the bandwagon right now, feel free to subscribe on the bottom right hand corner on the bottom right hand screen there in front of us, and if you do so, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos, because I usually post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but it may subject to change. So as you can see, basically I'm doing another autistic related video right now for you guys, and this one's basically going to be called Coming to Terms After Being Diagnosed as with Autism at a Later Age. Okay, as it's given that basically, as I said before, that there are 3 parts, and that majority of the time for many of us we get diagnosed when younger, some of us doesn't, depending on the age of the baby, because as we know that autism was known basically for a boys condition more because it was more predominant in males than it was in females, but now it's becoming clear that it is getting diagnosed with females as well. So here I am today going to break it down to 3 parts, but just in a quick overview before we go through it all. Basically, as a disclaimer, as always, I'm no medical doctor, I'm your normal Joe blog, so if you see anything under the ordinary between yourself or your loved one, seek professional help for yourself or your loved one, or in other words, if you need medical advice, seek a professional for yourself or your loved one, because I don't forever condone self-harm. So as I said before, this is broken down into 3 parts. Quick overview is part 1 before we get into the last final part of this, is getting support. In that part it covered 5 main features, which is number 1 is joining an autistic self-help group. Number 2 is finding out if you're eligible for government grants or any other financial assistance that is available in your local area. Number 3, decide if you want to share your diagnosis early. Number 4, seek accommodations at work. Number 5 basically is reaching out to your friends and family. Part 2 is embracing your diagnosis, which covered in this is number 1, identifying your triggers of overstimulation or the sensory overload as it's clinically known for. Number 2, make adjustments in your life. Number 3 is recognizing your strengths. Number 4, put your weaknesses into perspective. And now, last but not least, is part 3, understanding your diagnosis. Okay, number 1 is basically talk to your doctor. The doctor who diagnosed you should be your first source of information about autism or any other diagnosis that you may have got given by the medical team, and how you personally fit into the autism spectrum, because as we know, basically there are many different conditions with the autism spectrum, be it Aspergers Syndrome that is now clinically known for as autism, since in the DSM5 Manual, which you'll see above me or below me of that diagnosis, versus also basically MPOS, as well as a diagram above you with the umbrella of some of the clinical diagnosis of the autism spectrum above you. They will be able to explain the diagnosis as well as provide you with resources to enhance your understanding, to make a better vision of yourself, or just an understanding on how autism is or what it is and what you can do about it in this everyday life. You know, having a doctor to go through the screenings or tests that will then therefore take you into detail and explain the traits that may indicate that you're autistic. And again, as I said before, I can't stress it enough, not all autistics will be the same when they have similar characteristic traits, because obviously, as I said before, many of us may be on a high or low spectrum of autism, which will be in the iCard above me as well as in the description. Okay, it's like after that is done, then we need to go through the diagnostic criteria and consider how we identify with all of these traits and which ones don't seem to apply to us. Then we ourselves can ask the doctor any of the questions that we have about the autism spectrum and the diagnostic process, because every diagnosis process will take time. Basically, some may do some testing, be it through maybe some sort of treatment plan for you guys, basically based on a questionnaire, versus maybe some form of therapy, you know, speech therapy, some form of language developmental therapy under that speech therapy you know, and whatnot. So again, it's up to how you go about it, because every specialist team will be required in this point of time, as well as the doctor, not just, you know, doctor themselves, because you need the whole medical team to support you in this, because it's really important when we're younger, especially basically, you know, as we're transitioning from child to adult to teen and elderly, that there's bound to be something that has been missed of the diagnosis or what have you, and that we need to take care of ourselves as well in saying this. There are a number of books, essays and articles written by autistic people for other autistic people that can help you understand your autism. One of which, I'm one of them. I've written a book about my life with Aspergers Syndrome so far, which I'm hoping to do a updated version soon that I have missed, which you can actually find on Amazon. Focus on books written by people who were diagnosed later in life, such as maybe Cynthia Kim. Loud Hands and Straight On Till Morning are prominent anthologies of work by autistic people. Do you want to avoid books or articles by non-autistic people? They may misunderstand this because they don't have the life experience of an autistic person. However, the terminology neurotribes has come about. Basically, neurotribes is meaning of a network of people that are autistic, basically. Is a book that is well regarded by the autistic community for its accurate and compassionate review of the history of autism, despite the fact that it's not by an autistic author. When you find an autistic author you may like, find out if there are other authors' books or websites that they recommend. Many of those books have a resources section in the back. It's a given many autistic people who were diagnosed with autism at a later age may have an extensive history with mental health profession. You may have previously been diagnosed or misdiagnosed with other conditions or disorders. As I said before, basically, I'm one of them, and I have shared my stories about this, basically, which I'll link in the archive by me and below. I have shared this before and shared my story about being misdiagnosed, which you can find it here. For example, many autistic people who were diagnosed in adulthood were previously diagnosed with ADHD, schizophrenia, bipolar disorders, and much more. If you have any of these diagnoses in your medical history, talk to your psychiatrist about whether you should continue to be treated for that disorder or take into consideration maybe previously prescribed, let's correct myself, medications. On the other hand, however, there are disorders such as anxiety and depression that often coexist with autism. Talk to your doctor or any other medical specialist that are in that field that can actually help you about how autism potentially impacts those disorders or how they can be treated. There's no such thing as basically being cured or fixed, because obviously it would be nice if it could be cured by the wave of the magic wand and whatever else, but I believe that in saying this, that we should just be able to accept everything of what we've got. You may be on psychotropic medication for anxiety or depression. If you are, and if you like what the medication does for you, there's no reason to stop taking it whatsoever, just because you're diagnosed with autism. However, if you're answered with the treatment at hand that you're receiving from other disorders, which you've been diagnosed with, understand that they may have been misdiagnoses. Autism may also present other options for effective treatment. Do you enjoy writing? Do you enjoy being creative by entertaining versus maybe showing out your art side of yourself? If you do enjoy writing, then maybe a blog is a good way to come into terms with your diagnosis, or vice versa. Same with your vlogs. And in doing this, it can come to terms with your diagnosis as well as understanding autism and the autism spectrum better. Many blogging platforms have active autistic communities on there, as well as on the vlogging part of things too. They're coming out of the woodwork. Even if you don't feel yet comfortable in yourself writing about yourself, you can still establish a presence on the platform and follow other autistic bloggers or vloggers. You know, maybe if you're brave enough, you can put yourself out there, as I shared before, on the social media platforms, be it YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Vimeo. There's so much more out there that I can think of, but it's up to you. You'll be surprised to see how many autistic people out there are doing this already to share their life stories and experiences with autism. I have talked to some of them, and some of them have been great towards me in form of support and just guiding me through it all, regardless of it all. And in saying this, you know, we need that kind of niche to support one another, be it through the mental health versus everything else. Just to bear in mind, search undertakes is such as Actually Autistic to find blogs written by and for autistic and otherwise neurodivergent people, which I forgot to do so in some of mine. But then, okay, blogging platforms such as WordPress and Tumblr can also allow you to share the posts of others on your own blog, which enables you to save those posts you find helpful for future references. Well, this quickly ends part 3 of coming to terms with your late diagnosis of autism. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Smash the like if you did. Comment below if any of this sounds familiar and if I've missed anything on this. And in this part of your understanding diagnosis, the few questions I want to throw out there is, the very first one is, 1, if you're an autistic, how long did it take you to get the diagnosis, and how did you feel about the diagnosis before, during and after visiting the medical specialist team? 2, 3 I should say, is based on whatever area overseas, especially in the UK, US, what have you. How does the diagnosis process work in your area? How can someone who suspect that they are autistic get a diagnosis? Please feel free to comment that below. So enough further ado, guys. Thanks for support, thanks for watching, do what love what you do. Until next time, I'll see you all again soon. Ciao for now. Also, in saying this, don't forget that I have got a merch store that I'm trying to hopefully add a bit more, the Patreon account. For those of you who are new today, Patreon is like a subsidy account for us creators, be it music creators, content creators that are doing mental health, or whatever form it is that they're using as a form of the platform on YouTube, Twitch, or wherever else they may likely to fly about. Basically a bit about giving back to you guys when you do support. So feel to donate to me, big or small, no pressure basically, but it'd be much appreciated if you did. But hey, this will cover my cost of my rent, the travel when I do some more traveling with Aspie series, or just traveling in general, as well as maybe better recording equipment, so to speak, with the camera setup and whatnot, so that I'm not solely relying on my phone and many other parts that were thing. And in saying this, with the Patreon account, basically you'll see that I've been trying to do some benefits and ties for you to give back to you as a thank you for, you know, journeying with me, even though some of it will be maybe for free, some of it, you know, maybe need out of my pocket to send you guys certain stuff, be it if it may be, if you do donate to a certain amount, merch of your choice, versus basically maybe if I can afford to print out a copy of my book that I did 3 years ago, if you're interested in reading my life story more there. And I'm saying this also just to let you guys know down that I've got some projects in the works that I'm still hoping that if anyone wants to participate for project number 1 of the Journey Through the Mind series that you may have seen, Lydia, who was the first participant from Life with Lydia, basically sharing her life story. So I'm hoping to do short blurts of documentary style stories basically based on this. And in saying this, basically, if you want to be on the bandwagon in any way for that, feel free to comment below. As well as saying this, the second project of it was supposed to be an icebreaker for you guys, just to answer a series of questions. And if you do decide to come back for the second part of that Journey Through the Mind series to be a more depth storyline, please feel free, because I'm hoping later today, if all goes to plan, and I'm hoping to maybe get someone on the side to maybe animate them or what have you. And I'm saying this also, if you've seen some of my other videos, be it through my, you know, poetry, my baking with Aspie and everything else, please let me know what you would see more of, because at this point of time it's all about giving back to you guys regardless. But I know I should be focusing solely on mental health and awareness and acceptance and inclusion as an advocate, but I would like to try and bring in some mixture of things so I don't, you know, bore you guys, so that you can just, instead of getting to know me, maybe getting to know others that were interested in coming into play. And then there's also just a heads up, basically I was hoping in the works later today to do a second part of my book that I did based on my life of an Aspie, looking through the life of Aspergers Syndrome or something along those. I'll link the link in the description below based on that as well, so that if any one of you that are maybe autistic and are from the autistic community groups and you're interested in participating, let me know, so that maybe we can get the ball rolling and get the short stories done and up as well as a third part of my book series, because I'm still thinking that there are certain topics I may have not touched base on from the first part of my book of the journey through life with Aspergers Syndrome of mine. And to wrap it up, basically I have some other funding pages, like basically GoFunding or some other funding page that I've got, that if you're interested in maybe doing it through there instead of through basically Patreon. But as you know, Patreon and this other one, you have the option of PayPal and just insert bank account details and whatnot. I'm also saying this also, I'm trying to keep my blog up to date so I can create it as a website hopefully as of before next year, because that's my main goal. I'm still looking for someone who is willing to actually maybe help me design it from WordPress to actually put this web address in and stuff and tidy it up so that we can actually put other bits and pieces in that you may want to see on there, so to speak, if you've seen it, sort of thing. You know, hopefully you're enjoying some of the read-ups of what I write, even though it's similar to what I share with you guys of certain videos I may have put out, sort of thing. So it's easier for you guys when you come onto my WordPress site, that if you're a visual person instead of like a reader person, some of it is similar, but it should hopefully have some bits and pieces. And also in saying this, I'm at this point of time been away for a few times too because of the subtitling I'm doing. I hopefully you enjoyed this video, and do what you love what you do. Until next time, I'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.